Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Storytime Channel and this is Steven, and we've got some malicious compliance stories for you today. Quickly before I get into the stories today, I want to mention that I do a giveaway every single week, so if you're interested in entering and don't know how to enter, stay tuned till later in the video and I'll tell you exactly how to. That said, our first story of the day is by ShortNerdyOne. I guess you don't want a lunch break? For years I was a teacher. Some important background is for this story, I worked in a very poverty-stricken, under-resourced school at the time. Because of a limited budget, the cafeteria was far from efficient. Depending on the principal, we either had to turn in a list every morning listing every student and ID number that was buying lunch that day, and the manager had one of her workers basically spend all morning inputting it, or they had the kids say the name while they were in line, they'd look at a list for that name and ID number and type it right then and there. Either way, it's a pain. In case you don't know, 6-year-olds have a pretty quiet voice and can barely be heard in a loud cafeteria. One year before school started, the cafeteria manager came in and told my 4-person first grade team that she had good news. We were finally getting keypads so the students can input their numbers in line. 3 of us all agree this is great and started planning right away. I won't go into all the boring details of planning the physical logistics of it all. Seriously, it's hard to hold a tray and put in a number on a keypad at the same time when you're 6. But we also made plans of making it more smooth, utilizing pretty simple technology. See, 2 of us, myself and Sam, are both computer savvy. We figured out together that if you went into our attendance system, we could create a CSV of our students and ID. Then we were able to make a Word document for cards for the students with this information that pulled from that document instantly. We just had to print, laminate, and throw a sticker on the back to mark which class the student is in. One team member, Joan, didn't agree with any of our plans. They should get those scanners, all of this is ridiculous. Well, we don't have the budget this year, maybe next year. For now, let's focus on what we have and work with it the best we can, we said. Well, don't make me those cards, I'm not going to use them. Okay, we said, agreeing to comply, perhaps maliciously. Let's jump ahead to the beginning of the school year. We have to spend the first 3 weeks getting the students trained on how-tos, but once they got it, it went really smooth. Other grade levels took note and asked us to make cards for them. We obliged, the creating of the Word document at least. Pretty soon, almost every kid had cards to refer to so they could go through the line quickly, at least until they memorized the number, which didn't take long, typically. Remember how fast it was to memorize a phone number if you were a kid before cell phones? Almost every kid. That is, except Joan's students. She kept printing out a paper listing her students' names and ID numbers and handing it to the much too nice lady working the register. Then she'd stand there and repeat each and every student's name since, as I said, they say it too quietly. She'd missed almost half her lunch just getting her kids through. The cafeteria is set up to have 2 entrances and 2 lines with a different class coming in every 5 minutes. Pretty soon, they were doubling up classes on the other side when Joan's class was holding up one side. At that point, the principal stepped in and said she had to use the cards. She tried to argue with him, saying that they should just buy the scanner and this wouldn't happen, but he wouldn't hear it. She still refused to train them on the how-tos of using the cards, so it took several more weeks for her class to stop holding everything up. And since I'm realizing as I'm typing this that it may not be general knowledge, I'll say a couple of the how-tos is things like put your tray here, hold your card with one hand, type it with the other, stuff like that. Again, 6-year-olds need help with these things. Have you ever experienced these kinds of people where if it's not an idea they came up with, they're not going to ever agree with it? Let me know in the comments down below because this seems exactly what's going on here. Our next story is by UnicornSpaceStation. Can you do the reboot again? Hi Reddit, this is my 4th and final call center malicious compliance story from the Big Mama Chronicles. So one day, weekend, this sweet lady calls in. Let's call her Susan. Hi, my son is complaining about disconnecting internet for a few days now. I don't really understand these things, but I promised him that I will fix it. I'm calling from work, is that going to be a problem? It's certainly easier and sometimes needed to have someone at the premises, but there is a lot of things we can do remotely from here. Let me take a look at it. So, Susan, I do indeed see that there are some problems here with the connection, and it seems that the only solution is to have one of our technicians stop by. Before I can do that for you, I will need to remotely reboot your modem. It takes just about a minute or two, but it will disconnect the services. Is anyone at home using them? Yeah, my son is playing games for sure, but it's fine. He will survive. Do you want to call him to let him know? I can wait. It's not a problem. Nah, that little brat deserves it. I bet he will call me himself to scream at me anyway when you disconnect it. You are joking, right? Oh, we will see. Go ahead with your restart. So I did, and no joke, in half a minute Susan goes, oh yeah, he's calling me right now. I'm going to join the call. Mute yourself and listen to what little devil I raised. So I do, and listen. By his voice, he is barely a teen, but as soon as she picks up, he starts yelling, Mom, you said you will fix this crap. It happened again. You are useless. How am I supposed to get good grades when I can't even connect to the freaking internet? Well, I'm working on it right now, so you better behave or I'll just tell them we don't need internet anymore. Oh, you would not do that. Freak you. Hangs up. So now you believe me? Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's horrible. I don't know what happened. My 2 daughters are angels. Maybe you can consider setting up some parental control on your internet. It's something our services are capable of. I can send you a link to your email so you can read up on it. Oh, that exists? That would be great. As a gamer myself that had really strict helicopter parents when it comes to computer and internet, I don't usually tell customers about parental controls, but I felt it was more than justified in this case. Susan, now that we have a technician scheduled, is there anything else I can do for you? Could you do one of those restarts again? Me with a huge malicious smile. I can do better than that. I could push a software reload that takes 10 to 20 minutes to finish. Yes, please do that. I should be home by then and we'll deal with that little brat. I complied. Big Mama out. I definitely feel bad for this mom because I don't even know how you handle a kid who's acting like that. Do you just take everything away and hope that they can reform? You gotta have like a really hands-on approach, don't you? Is it like a horse? You have to take everything away until they just break and they're good again? I don't know. This next story is by What Am I Doing? It's 3 a.m. Emails are not an accepted way of communication. I just got reminded of this story and I thought I should share it with you because it's the best mix of pro-revenge and malicious compliance that I ever witnessed. This all happened from 2013 to 2015, and I am able to exactly recall what happened due to reasons I will explain later. So it started with my first day of middle school. My classmates and I were very excited. We all knew each other already because in Germany, where I'm from, secondary schools go from grade 5 to grade 12. Sometimes only to grade 10, but that is irrelevant here. My classmates and I were excited because in 7th grade we got to have a new tutor, meaning a teacher who is responsible for the entire class. In Germany, you are always in the same class. We didn't know our new tutor yet and were pretty excited for the new school year to begin. And as a bunch of very excited 12-year-olds are, we were loud. Very loud. In walked our new tutor, who I will call Miss Karen because that's exactly what she is, a Karen. She seemed taken aback by the loud class and did nothing. We were engaged in conversation, so we didn't really notice she was there. So she screamed. She didn't scream something like, "Be quiet." Oh no, Miss Karen just screamed. Just screamed. Like we had murdered her dog or something. So this is how the battle between basically my whole school, all the parents, and Miss Karen started. Besides being our tutor, she was our German and English teacher as well. So she was responsible to teach us 2 of the most important classes in school. Let's just say I didn't learn how to speak English thanks to her. She generally didn't know how to handle kids or teenagers. She was quite young herself, I would say 30 years old. She didn't have any authority and therefore screamed a lot and gave a lot of detention. She also didn't know how to use technology, like most teachers do somehow. One day she wanted to show us a movie with a projector. I don't recall why, and was just not able to make the stupid tech obey her. I was trying to be helpful, raised my hand and said, "Miss Karen, maybe you could press the power button so that the projector is working?" I was a very shy kid at that time and really just wanted to help her. But what she said was, "Oh P, nobody likes a smart butt." In German, Klugscheiße. The way she said it, it was clearly meant as an insult. I was pretty taken aback by that. My tutor just insulted a 12-year-old girl. Me. That really bothered me because I just wanted to help and did nothing wrong, so I told my parents who, understandably, were furious. They wrote an email to Miss Karen asking her how dare she say such a thing to a student. Before I can get into what she did and said next, I have to explain how things worked at my school. At the beginning of every new school year, every student got some kind of journal in which you could write your schedule and what you do for homework every day. There was also a section called Communication, School, Parents, in which, for example, parents would excuse their children from class when they were too sick to attend. Miss Karen answered my parents' email saying that she was very sorry about what happened, but that future communication between her and parents should be through the journal alone. She was literally the only teacher who saw it that way. So in comes the malicious compliance. The incident with the insult and her screaming problem weren't the only things that made her a Karen. She also gave the whole class bad oral grades. If you don't know what that is, you got graded for your engagement in class and for your homework, vocabulary tests, presentations, etc. Miss Karen had the bad habit of doing surprise vocabulary tests, which we all failed always, because if we don't know what words we had to learn, how are we supposed to know them? So whenever we had one of the surprise tests, we all got a 6 equals failed. My oral grade before this test was a 2. 1 is the best grade, 6 is the worst. So it meant I was good. After the test, however, I had a 4-. Pretty bad. Not failing, but almost. The same happened to my classmates. She all gave us a piece of paper on which she wrote our grade and other things like forgotten homework. On my paper, she wrote forgotten homework 3 times. I was very confused by that because I was certain I only forgot to do an assignment once, not 3 times. So I went and told my parents about that again. The following dialogue is directly translated from a page's ongoing conversation in my journal. Oh, the sweet compliance. Between my mom and Miss Karen. June 16, 2015, concerning oral grade English. Yes, my mom straight up acted like she was writing an email. Dear Miss Karen, you remarked that our daughter OP forgot to do her English homework 3 times. OP told us that she only recalls forgetting it once. We ask you to clarify when and what our daughter forgot to do. Sincerely, OP's parents. And a second email right after that. June 16, 2015, concerning oral grade German. Dear Miss Karen, you did not explain or remark why OP got graded a 3 in German. Context, I thought I was a 2 at least. Please explain further so that we can understand this decision. Sincerely, OP's parents. I gave the entries in my journal to Miss Karen, who just stared at me for a few minutes and then wrote in it, First, 106, 805, 1304. Dates when I didn't do my homework. I obviously do not write down what it was about. 4 exclamation marks. Look at the class book. Context, a book where the teachers remark all kinds of things. 4 exclamation marks. The exclamation marks she drew extra big. And concerning the second entry, she wrote, Engagement in class low, homework 30.03. Date of homework. Very bad, 3 exclamation marks, no improvement whatsoever. My mom wrote this, July 17, 2015, concerning oral grade German. Dear Miss Karen, OP showed us the homework you talked about, that you apparently collected in class and graded. OP's homework was only remarked with introduction and not understandable. The evaluation, very bad, 3 exclamations, we do not see and do not understand. Sincerely, OP's parents. Next to this text, she actually printed out and glued in a miniature version of my homework as proof. As to why she did that, my mom told me, Karen wants us to communicate through the journal, so you can't just show her your homework, it has to be in the journal. Miss Karen, the next day, wrote this right next to it. No, I didn't grade it, I only wrote down what I saw. So basically, she didn't have anything clever to say about that. My mom also wrote, July 18, 2015, concerning oral grade English. Dear Miss Karen, we had a look into the class book and now know what missing homework you referred to. We do not accept 2 missing homeworks. This part my mom wrote in red. We as OP's parents forgot to sign her grade on the vocabulary test. This was not her fault. Yes, apparently letting your parents sign your very bad vocab test is considered homework now. Second, OP merely forgot to do one little part of the homework, not the whole thing. I had to write an essay and forgot to write a conclusion or something like that. Sincerely. Miss Karen just wrote, very sad. She really reminds me of a certain person being in charge of the US. After that, she made the whole class write in our journals that emails are now an acceptable way of communication as well. I and a lot of classmates, their parents have done something similar, and from what I heard, so did parents of all kinds of students who had Miss Karen as a teacher, magically received better oral grades. Mission accomplished? Nah, we're not there yet. Apparently, I wasn't the only student she wronged and called names because parents started complaining to the principal. We got told by other teachers, who all thought she was pathetic and petty, that she ran out of the principal's office crying and screaming. Miss Karen disappeared after she was our teacher for 2 years because she wanted to move back home. Nobody believed that. So basically, this Karen, although qualified, was very not qualified. Just unfair, rude, and had terrible practices and a terrible sense of just handling herself and handling the class. It's no surprise that everybody basically ran her out of there. Our next story is by Distant Button 57. You want our most expensive meal? Here you go. Around 2 years ago, when I worked at a restaurant as a waiter, an obnoxious man came in with his partner and immediately called me over. He began asking for the most expensive item on the menu, probably to impress his partner. I began warning him that it was very expensive and that he should look before ordering it. After going back and forth a couple times, he said, "Do I have to call your manager or can I order it?" I obliged and he ate his meal and said he thoroughly enjoyed it. Then he asked for the bill. I don't remember the exact amount, but it amounted to around 2,300 pounds. He freaked out. He started shouting like mad, saying why I hadn't warned him, etc., etc. And I was standing there laughing at him. His partner left the restaurant and he was sat there to pay the bill. My manager was watching this exchange and was grinning when I came over and told me to go to the next table. That's definitely a dangerous game to play. Give me your most expensive item and you play it like you're so confident that you can afford whatever, but some restaurants might have a lofty item. And OP said that it was a golden steak. It had like gold leaf covering or something like that. So it was pretty expensive. So quickly now, I want to explain just how to enter the giveaway. All you need to do is leave a comment on this video relevant to something you saw or heard or liked in any story in that video. That's it, you're entered. But it applies to every single video we upload this week. So to get the best odds at winning the $30 Amazon gift card giveaway, you'll want to leave a comment relating to any of those videos all week long. On Sunday, after the last video has gone out, I'll pick one comment at random and let you know on the following Monday who has won, and then it starts all over again. So make sure you leave a relevant comment on this video and additionally every video I upload this week for the absolute best chance to win. And while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and give the videos a like too, because it helps more than you could imagine. That being said, our final story of the day is by Dramoriga. How spicy do you want it? This was a few years ago when my parents still owned a Chinese takeaway. I was working the counter and a guy came in and asked for the spiciest chicken curry you have. I just wrote the order down stating extra hot chicken curry. Guy replies, no, I want the hottest you can make, as Chinese people can't make spicy food worth a darn, with a big smirk on his face. Challenge accepted. I took the order in the kitchen and told my dad, who was cooking, to nuke it with chilies. He added in a handful of chilies, but then I remembered I had Blair's Ultra Death Sauce in the back, as I really like spicy food myself. This was unfortunately before Carolina Reapers even existed, so I ran and grabbed it, then shook the bottle as hard as I could until I got about 3 tablespoons in and the curry's color changed to a dark glowing red. I sent it back out with a cheerful, "Enjoy your meal." 1 week later, Guy returns and says, "I'll have a chicken curry, please." I replied, "As hot as we can make it?" with an innocent smile, and his face almost went white as he responded quietly, no thank you, it was, pretty spicy last time. I spent most of the night with a sore stomach as I drank almost 2 liters of milk to try to counter the heat." Sometimes you just don't know what you're asking for when you ask a person who handles food for the most whatever you want. If they want to maliciously comply, they can probably find a way to make it way too much in whatever category. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you enjoyed the stories today, please consider giving the video a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. And if you had a favorite story of the day, let me know which one and why in the comments down below. But no matter what you did, whether it was liking, commenting, subscribing, whatever you did, thank you all so very much for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, I'll be back tomorrow with more Reddit stories right here on the Storytime channel.